It's the Fear Central Podcast.
Hey, fellow horror fans, welcome to the Fear Central Podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and joining me this week, we've got
Chris
and
Paul
via phone, because as of right now, we're all shelter in place, as
I'm
so to
going
speak.
stir crazy. I'm pacing.
Are you?
No joke, man. I'll trade you. Can I come over there and you come over here and we'll just switch?
I somehow think that negates the purpose.
Yeah, kind of. We hope everyone else is out there doing with their part. All of this really made me think of Starship Troopers, all their little commercials. Are you doing your part? I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
Is this where I go, you do your part too? Stay home on lockdown.
So,
Do not leave your house. If
Would you
are
like to know
contagious.
more?
Would you
No,
like to know
thank you.
more?
Every time I get on Facebook, that's all I see.
would you like to know more?
Man.
Just, it's a different type of bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about things that are scary that aren't invisible to the naked eye.
This is
Yes.
true. We'll get into that in just a bit. But first, if you're first time here, welcome. We appreciate you coming in and listening. If you'd
Hi,
like,
Steve.
Hi, Steve. If you'd like to know more. But if you're looking for ways that you can subscribe to us and catch our show every week, you can do that by going over to fearcentral.net. We have 13 different subscription places you can go to. The top 5 are on the front page, and if you click the little 3 dots, you'll get over to the other area that shows every one of them. So if there's one that you like better, we may have it on that list.
You know, we're into that variety of mutilated media pleasure.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Google, Amazon, YouTube, Audible, Pornhub, everything.
everything. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking a little bit more PG, like, you know, iHeartRadio, that kind of thing. But, you know,
Oh.
whatever floats your boat, babe.
He said Pod Hub, right?
That is not what he said.
Palm Hub.
Yeah,
It's
Palm Hub.
your hub for all your Pomeranian pictures.
Is there a Korg Hub?
Did you say corn pub?
No.
As in an establishment that only serves corn?
Yes. No, I say Korg. As in little
Oh,
corgis.
Korg.
Korg
Oh,
Pub.
No,
I'm
no.
thinking
that-
he's a little bit inebriated.
Yeah. I'm on the Venom tonight. But getting back into... oh, by the way, we do have a Patreon page that we are currently in progress of coming up with. So if you like the show enough and you feel like you want to contribute to it, that'll be a way to do it. We'll have more details coming up later. Would you like to know more?
Or the corn gets it.
Yeah, corn gets it. The corn gets it. Those children in that corn.
Welcome to the corn pub. What did I get you?
Do you have any peas? What? No, it's only corn. So
Corn on the cob, other types of corn on the cob, cream corn.
corn hash. What?
Cornbread.
Corn the band.
Always playing at the corn pub. So this week we are bringing you Creature Features. Yes. And that is not the
With
TV
featured
show
creatures.
because, yeah, and it's not the TV show Creature Features because when I was doing my research that kept popping up. I'm like, no, actual movies. Come on.
This is the non-TM version.
Yeah. So we picked anything that was not related to, I guess you would say the typical Universal monsters, vampires, werewolves, zombies, all those. Those are
Oh, my.
Those are not included. These would be other creatures that.
Give you the chills and thrills. And
Yeah.
They go bump in the night and splash in the day and
Yeah.
eat you for all sorts of little
rap
snacks.
in the afternoon.
Right. And sometimes they're not even what you expect them to be.
No, they are not.
So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of follow through with what we did last week. We each picked 2 movies this time, and we're going to make our rounds around those movies and why we enjoy them. And some statistics about them. We did try to make sure that they were ones that during our current situation, you could go out and get access to them via Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Vudu, Fandango,
Yes.
wherever.
One of mine's through a specialty streaming service, but everyone should support it anyway. So
Yeah. No, I'm sure you could possibly maybe find them on Screenbox or Shudder or Horror Television. That's a new one I've seen lately. Another streaming service that you can get through Amazon, and I think they have their own way of doing it. But there's plenty of ways that you can go out there. We wanted to make sure that you had access to them so that, we're just not telling you this and you're like, well, I can't find it to watch. Damn it.
Well, that rare 80s movie that they were talking about sounds peachy keen. Too bad it's been out of print for 10 years.
Right? Can't find that anymore. But they may be showing it over at the Corn Hub, so.
Maybe.
Oh, they have it all. They have it, the full movie.
Full movie?
It's got Indian subs on it for some reason.
Nice.
Okay. Interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick right into our first movie. And Chris, what movie did you pick first?
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
And before you even ask which one? All of them.
All of them.
All of them except for maybe
for the
last
Broderick
two.
one. Not the that's an iguana. That's not Godzilla.
So,
let's start. What streaming service can you find these movies on?
any and every, pretty much.
I know Vudu has 21 of them.
Yeah.
I signed up for Criterion today. They had 4 or 5 of them on there.
All right.
Surprisingly, boys, there's actually 32 films alone from Toho Studios.
32.
So, 32. There are 3 what they consider feature films. And so, I mean, it's a lot. Godzilla was released way back in 1954.
54.
The original creators...
In Studio 54?
No, not Studio 54.
Oh.
But the year 54.
Ah.
You don't want to see Godzilla's dance moves.
Well, they're not moves like Jagger, but... okay, so Godzilla has actually been around for a while. I mean, there's no denying that. And he is, after all, the king of monsters.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's actually 3 people that were the creators of the Godzilla franchise.
Right.
Takanawa, Honda, and Tsuruya.
E Honda?
Tsubura?
From Super Street Fighter? E Honda?
No.
That's
And
why he moves his
actually,
arm
there
like
was
that?
only 2 people who actually designed the original Godzilla costume. And that was Akira Watanabe and Tiezo.
Yeah, we'll take your word for it. Yeah.
It's pretty bad when you can't
I
even
can't see your
pronounce them.
screen. I'm all the way across town in another house.
But here's the thing. There were only 2 people to ever vocalize Godzilla.
Rar.
Ted Cassidy and Frank Welker.
2 Americans did it in 54?
No, actually, it was a little bit later. It was when he did the... Godzilla went on a cartoon.
Oh.
And
With Godzuki?
So, Godzilla actually has 2 sons that are
Godzuki.
adopted, if you didn't know that.
Well, yeah, I didn't see the female Godzilla he could be out there, corn hubbing with.
Well, actually, Godzilla is unisex, so he could be either male or female.
So it's Tedzilla, and who's the other one?
Tedzilla and Bobzilla?
It's Manila
Oh, a Manilazilla.
and Godzilla Jr. Those are his 2 sons.
Oh.
Oh, Shotazilla.
Manili Vazilizilla?
That's a joke for your anime fans.
Yeah, you're real funny.
Okay, so why Godzilla?
Grew up on Godzilla, and first thing when you say creature, that's the first thing that pops out is Godzilla kicks all their asses. Except for there was a couple of films that were kind of hokey.
Just a couple.
Well, 50s were what it was. But there was the episode with King Kong, and then there was one where he was in with Jet Jaguar, in which they kind of just shook hands.
Jet Jaguar, is he related to Ultraman? Because they look alike.
Actually, Jet Jaguar is before Ultraman.
Then why did they come out with Ultra Gay? I mean, man.
You really do want the bodies to hit the floor and let the blood flow, don't you?
Nothing wrong with me.
Something's got to give, you guys.
So yeah, Godzilla has been around 60 some odd years, almost 60 years.
Almost, yeah. Close to it.
Around,
But
yeah.
you got to think about it, though. Godzilla is always that balance of, nature versus man. I mean, and a lot of the newer generation, they're all voting for Godzilla because he's the monster and,
Right.
But naturally, he's just there to bring balance.
Yeah. And for you historical buffs, the original title for the 1954 was Gojira.
Aw, I'm so proud you know that.
Gojira.
Close.
Something like that. Yeah, Gojira. And then translated into English, Godzilla. So
Right. And, of course, all the miniatures of the set were actually done from Toho Studios. So, I mean, all the scenes of Tokyo that were destroyed were all done at the studios. It wasn't like they sent out for some model-making place to do it. They did everything in-house.
that would almost piss me off. I spent 16 months building that set, and you're going to let somebody stomp on it.
Well, actually, a lot of the sets were constantly reused. So if you go back and watch the Godzilla movies, a lot of what was destroyed and then rebuilt, you can actually see fracture lines on.
Ah.
But the funny thing was that there was 5 people who played the original Godzilla from the Toho movies. And each Godzilla had a different way of walking because of the tail.
Kind of like Jason.
Right. And because the Godzilla suit was pre-special effects almost, a lot of the suits did not have any kind of fans to circulate any kind of air.
Or pee holes.
Or any of that. So these people were constantly working in temperatures of 100+ degrees.
Having to pee really bad.
So they would have to take breaks.
You get out of the suit and go pee.
And actually, they didn't get out of the suit. There's
They just peed in the
actually
suit.
some pictures that I have of
Them peeing in the suit?
no, of them sitting down and drinking tea or having water with the suit half down.
Oh. Well, that's why they had to pee. They kept drinking tea and water.
We
And-
gotta hydrate.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Like, sushi.
Being king of the monsters is thirsty work.
well,
Thirsty work, yeah. This bud's for you.
We're not talking about Audrey, too.
But you guys have seen the Godzilla movies. So out of the Godzilla movies, which ones were your favorite kaiju that he actually fought?
Mine is Gigan, the one that has the sword arms. Is that him? I don't remember his name.
Paul?
I was all about bugs as a kid, so I really liked Mothra. Even though it was
Nice.
a giant moth, but
Yeah, well, she's also pretty badass.
yes. And,
Yeah, Gigan.
who doesn't like a giant robot lizard? So Mechagodzilla is awesome.
Mechagodzilla, yeah.
Which one? There was actually 2 of them.
I want to say original. I will admit I didn't watch the movies in any sort of order. I would just pick up whichever one I found fastest at Blockbuster and go rent it and watch it with my friends at a sleepover.
Just out of curiosity, have you seen the latest Godzilla, Shin Godzilla?
I have not seen the latest one.
It's what it is. Yeah, it's kind of out
It's
there.
very long in the tooth. It's very overdrawn as far as dialect goes. Not a whole lot of action, except for towards the end.
Well, if we're honest, I mean, you talk about all these movies that they exist about Godzilla. That's a whole lot of what is it? Melodramatic relationship stories featuring scientists and government officials.
True, but I mean, even back in the day, they shortened the dialect to get more of the monsters in. Because that was a way of drawing in more people. Because remember, during the 50s, it was all about the atomic craze. So everybody was on board with big bugs, big lizards, everything. So, I mean, it was the dawn of what we refer to as the I Was movement, I was a teenage vampire, I was a teenage werewolf, that kind of round. So...
Yeah, according to Newsweek, there are 17 Titans in the Godzilla universe.
Yes.
That's including the new Motus in the first or second American film.
Right.
So, and you throw King Kong in there. And
Yeah, King Kong was in
I
there.
thought that was a decent movie.
yeah, it was much better than the Iguana Broderick movie.
I think they were trying to put the spin on it to get new people, interested in Godzilla. It seems like for a time period, there's always he kind of goes away and then comes back and to draw that new generation in.
Yeah.
Like Superman.
Yes.
Yes.
But fortunately, every Godzilla does not have a background story.
No, does not. Very few of them actually have background stories.
IMDb's got every Godzilla ever made list. Yep, there they are. It's a lot of them.
I told you, 32 plus 3 feature films.
Well, they're all kind of feature films, but but that even includes one I didn't even know about, Godzilla Planet of Monsters in 2017. Oh, yeah, I did. That's the anime one that's on Netflix right now.
There's
two-parter.
actually been several different Godzilla video games.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them have been released in Japan.
Well, we had one for the original Xbox.
That was the one that was Americanized and released for... Actually, there's 2 if you want to do American.
Didn't Nintendo have one?
Nintendo's...
Did Nintendo have a Godzilla game?
I think so, but it wasn't...
Yeah, I thought so. And then the original Xbox did. I think Sega did for the Genesis.
The one I seem to remember being kind of fun, I think, was on GameCube.
Was it GameCube?
But there have been a few.
Just a few.
You working on your Corona typewriter over
I
there?
I am. Can't touch actual keyboards anymore. You gotta have a typewriter.
That was an unintentional name drop there.
So Godzilla
Bad
is...
choice.
I mean, Godzilla in his own right is pretty much Japan's own version of, I guess, what we would equivalent Michael Myers to. I mean, he's a land shark.
True.
They've killed him off so many times, he just keeps coming back.
Except for the fact that Godzilla always ends up fighting for the humans.
Right.
Well, I don't even think he's really trying. He's just like, I'm fighting these monsters, and we're all like, yeah, he's on our side.
Well, that's because we're idiots.
If you got his internal monologue, he'd be like Marv in Sin City.
Yeah.
It's your own fault, nobody else's, that you get confused.
Right?
Exactly. Pretty much.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in Rampage. Mm-hmm. Not the Dwayne Johnson movie, but
No.
the video game.
But yeah, he was actually in the video game, and then he's even made reference in a couple of different movies.
He's everywhere.
Pretty much is.
Well, if you're talking to just name drops, so that would be too many to mention.
Yes.
Way too many.
Yes. All right. Cool. Godzilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
All hail the king, baby.
Well, I guess we're done now.
Oh, okay.
People are going to go watch Godzilla movies. They don't got
Yeah.
time for anything else.
That's true. Yeah. All right, what you got, Paul?
Okay, so in honor of a great horror director that left us this past week, Stuart Gordon,
Yes.
I am humbly submitting Dagon, which is based on one of my absolute favorite H.P. Lovecraft tales, Shadow over Innsmouth.
I have to admit, though, when you texted me that, I thought you were trying to, type in dragon and it went something else, and I was like, wait, what?
No, Dagon, one of the elder gods, the old one, the ancient ones.
There's a
from
lot of
H.P.
ancient
Lovecraft.
ones, honey.
So Dagon came out in 2001. It was a Spanish-American co-production. And it's very, it's got some great scenery because it's like on a fishing village off the coast of Spain where it was filmed. But it was very, their eyes were bigger than their budget.
Oh, yeah.
So I will preface this and say that there are some very shoddy effects throughout it, but the scenery and just the overall tone manages to save it in spite of it. And who doesn't love some good rubber monster effects from time to time?
Oh, you got to. I mean, we just talked about Godzilla.
Yeah. So I guess we start with the movie plot because there's a little bit of difference between the short story and the movie.
Okay.
The Dagon starts with two couples that are on a boat off the coast of fishing village in Spain. The boat gets ransacked. They end up having to go to land, and when they get there, they find that the people of the village are all kind of bundled up, covered under like rain slickers and stuff like that, and they move very unnaturally.
Okay.
So almost immediately, all four of them get split up, and whenever one of these citizens get uncovered, you realize that they are kind of half fish, half person with a whole bunch of dangerous teeth and stuff.
Dangerous teeth and stuff.
Reminds me of my last boyfriend.
Yes.
Shit.
Anyways, like I said, I'm prefacing that it's low budget, but it's got atmosphere in spades, and it's got some really good effects, and it's actually fairly tense.
Who did the effects
majority
on it?
Of the majority of the movie is the main character played by Ezra Godin, like running through the village, hiding from all these people that are after him.
Yeah.
And midway through the movie, he ends up coming face to face with a kind of, what's the right word? Enigmatic lady that's bound in a wheelchair that immediately is drawn to him. And there's a whole backstory that, depending on your view in the movie, by the end you'll either go, "Aw," or "Oh."
Ah. Ooh.
Yes. There was a lot of and then there was screaming and running.
It was shot in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the effects?
You would know. Because it was shot in Spain.
Well, could we still know who he is?
I did
Or
know.
she?
I got it.
Or it?
Where'd it go? Your special effects makeup artist was David Marty, Marti.
Good going, David.
And then the actual makeup artist was Montserrat Baqueres.
Say that 5 times.
Exactly.
Yep. Try saying the girl, the captivating girl. Try saying her character name.
Ezekiel?
Lucia Combaro.
Oh.
I don't think I'm drunk enough to even do that.
So the good thing about this movie that I'm suggesting here is there's a little app called Tubi TV, Tubi TV, which
Yes.
is free.
It's free.
Yep. and you can catch it right there. You can catch it on there.
Oh,
You
is
can
it
rent
on there?
from Amazon Prime if that doesn't work for you? But if you're okay with getting some advertisements, you can catch this one for free, and I feel it's well worth free.
Yeah, at least free. Yeah. It was filmed between October 2000 and December 2000, and it came out Halloween in Spain
Nice.
next year on 2001. It was filmed in Barcelona, Catalonia, Spain, as well as Castelbisbal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So the basis for this is, like I said, the story Shadow over Innsmouth.
Mm-hmm.
For once, the Wikipedia looks like it's pretty decent. So the narrator of the story ends up meeting Zadok, a drunk, who explains that an Innsmouth merchant named Obed Marsh discovered a race of fish-like humanoids known as the Deep Ones. When hard times fell on the town, Obed established a cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon, which offered human sacrifices to the Deep Ones in exchange for wealth in the form of large fish hulls and unique jewelry. When Obed and his followers were arrested, the Deep Ones attacked the town and killed more than half of its population, leaving the survivors with no other choice than to continue Obed's practices.
Well, I mean, once you make a deal.
I was looking up some of the interesting trivia of it. They say that the main actor, Paul, his shirt in the film indicates that he is an alumnus of Miskatonic University.
I love how often that's used in H.P. Lovecraft movies.
Yeah.
Like in
Somebody's
everything.
going to be wearing, we just watched The Color Out of Space, and like the opening scene, guy comes out with a Miskatonic University shirt.
Nice. The chant by the locals at the sacrificial ceremony near the end, Ia Cthulhu Ftangan.
Yeah. Fatagan. It's from Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah. Evidently, it appears in several of his tales, shouted by the followers of the Old Ones.
Yep. And if you end up watching Dagon and reading Shadow over Innsmouth and you like it, there are a couple of Call of Cthulhu games that are, or since somebody's going to correct me, Cthulhu.
Cthulhu? Bless you.
No, it's got a t sound. But there's especially if you go on Good Old Games, the Dark Corners of the Earth game.
Right.
The opening of it, after you get past the first opening section, it is almost like from the page jumped out, and you get to play through it in the game.
Oh, okay. Because I've been playing the Xbox One version that's based on the tabletop role-playing game, and it's pretty decent. I really like it.
There's a lot of inspiration drawn from that story in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've only gotten so far into it because I got to a part where I got to sneak around, and I'm not so good at that part of the game, so I'm kind of stuck. I always get caught. But yeah,
A horrible spy.
Yeah, I'm a bad spy. I would be more the master of disguise kind of spy. Just makes me, put a fake mustache or whatever. and I mean, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If Shadow over Innsmouth weren't probably my favorite story from H.P. Lovecraft, I'd complain that every Call of Cthulhu game ends up taking from Shadow over Innsmouth.
Oh, yeah.
But it is, so I don't care.
So, in case you didn't quite catch that, TUBI TV, it is downloadable as an app for your Xbox. I'm sure PlayStation has it. Your Android and iOS phones probably have it as well, or just go to the website. And that is basically free TV.
If you want to cultivate a Sci-Fi Channel style afternoon of horror movies, that's a good app to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Dagon, check it out.
All right, Mike.
All right,
You're up.
I'm going to move into my first movie here.
Give it up.
All right. I'm going to have to go with The Ruins.
Okay.
Yes. Nothing says unforeseeable creature as a giant plant.
That's it. We're sending Paul down the dark and creepy tunnel first.
Yeah, that rings like a telephone. They're flowers. The Ruins is basically your typical college spring break, but then they end up going to an actual set of ruins, like a Mayan pyramid, Aztec pyramid, something along those lines. And in doing so, they get left there by their guides because for some reason something starts happening. It's getting dark or something. They're like, we can't be out here. So they end up basically camping out at the bottom of the pyramid, a little ways off from it, and our college students thus get trapped on the top of it with said plant encompassing the entire pyramid, which then they start discovering as time goes on that this plant is actually carnivorous and thus keeps trying to kill them.
That is
So
rude.
much for
I
Venus
know.
Life Traps.
The actual storyline is a group of friends whose leisurely Mexican holiday takes a turn for the worse when they, along with a fellow tourist, embark on a remote archaeological dig in the jungle where something evil lives among the ruins. Yeah. There's actually one scene, of course, we always say that we spoil things in the show.
Spoiler alert.
But there's one scene where they're sleeping and they wake up and one of the girls the weeds had climbed into the tent with them and had gone into a cut that she had gotten and was actually like feeding on her while they were sleeping. She wakes up, she's all freaking out. The makeup on this is done really well because there's another scene where they have to snap a guy's legs off to amputate him. It's done really well.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's been since this movie first came to video that I've watched it, but I'm remembering some of these scenes.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the languages that it is done in is, of course, English, Spanish, Greek, German, and Mayan. You can get this in Mayan language if you want to watch it that way.
Nice.
I want to watch the Mayan version.
Okay. Do they not just mean that Mayan is in the movie?
No.
Naturally?
No, like there's an area that says languages.
Okay.
And one of the languages, like the countries, you can get it, are U.S., Germany, and Australia. Language is English, Maya, German, Spanish, and Greek. It came out April 4th of 2008, so it's just about an anniversary time for it.
Yeah.
It was filmed at the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, for roughly $8 million. And it basically made that its first weekend of $8,003,000. So that's not bad to make it what you spent the very first weekend.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, time's up.
Oh, time's up. Mm-hmm.
You're going to die.
I know it. I always do.
It's a very cheery death tone.
Yeah.
I know, right? I thought so as well.
And for your information, the special effects makeup artist was Jake Gerber.
He's done quite a few other things, hasn't he?
I'm pretty sure he has. Your hairstylist, makeup artist, Paige Badenoch. Desiree Vogue-Song was another makeup artist. But it stars Jonathan Tucker, Jenna Malone, Laura Ramsey, Sean Ashmore, and Joe Anderson. Those are your main five in the cast. And then you have your Mayan bowmen and your horsemen and taxi drivers and all that. So if you like something that's a little out there and not a typical creature, The Ruins is one I highly recommend. That is actually available on Amazon Prime right now. Or take that back. That's the other movie. This one you can rent on Prime. You can rent it on Vudu. Pretty sure you can get it on Fandango. I didn't check Netflix or Hulu, so I'm not sure if they're available. It's available on there yet, or at this time. But yeah, The Ruins. You got a second film there, Chris? You got
It
another
looks
one?
like it's on Hulu.
Is it
I
on
do.
Hulu? Okay.
Oh wait, it's through Cinemax. Never mind.
Skinamax. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so going with the 1950s, my other pick, The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
No.
Aw, I know, I'm a little nostalgic. So originally, it generated 2 films. The creature was actually featured on The Munsters.
Okay.
The creature himself was played by Ben Chapman on land, and Rico Browning did the underwater scenes.
Okay.
Little kind of new light was shed that it was Millicent Patrick who was the actual creature maker, and supposedly the Gill Man, which was in the second movie, was created after the Academy Award. But there's no verification on that. There was a little bit of a feud between Bud Westmore and Patrick. And according to the feud, and from what I understand, Westmore got jealous of Patrick getting the acclaim in the titles of the movie and got mad and took credit for it and pretty much wiped her out of the credits. She was referred to as the beauty who created the beast.
Ooh.
And so recently, within the past, I would say 10 years, she's been known for her contributions to it.
Mm-hmm.
During the filming, Julie Adams was actually injured on the set.
Right.
So the scene goes is that the creature is taking her unconscious body into the caverns. And when we see him walk into the cave, the Gilman actually couldn't see out of the suit, and Julie scraped her head.
Ooh.
So filming was promptly halted. She actually did not go to the hospital. She was treated on set, and the movie resumed filming. So the whole theory behind the movie was actually inspired by a Mexican folktale, which cinematographer Gabriel Fierro told Orson Welles and William Allen at a dinner party. And so, yeah.
Well, good thing you didn't tell him about La Llorona.
All right. But the creature has always been one of my favorite ones.
It's more of a romantic kind of a horror film. I think that's where you... Because it's more the romance. I like in Del Toro's...
It's arguably more sentimental than Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
I like Phantom of the Opera, but
I would actually say, in my opinion, that Del Toro's new Shape of Water is very closely
much
related.
reminiscent of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Just more of a more modern, well, not even a modern twist to it, but kind of given.
I wonder which
history.
one's more closely related to
The actual Mexican folktale.
The folktale, yeah.
Have no idea because the folktales never mention exactly what it is.
Ah,
So if anybody knows that, would you mind coming onto our Facebook
Yeah.
page? Or,
Let us know.
Let us know, because I'm
Let us
kind of
know.
interested.
yeah.
Love a little bit of nostalgia there. I do have several different stills from production, and one of them is actually a scene in which the creature is actually kissing Julia for press photos.
Ah,
So, I mean, there was that whole spin on it. Then there's several different spins of when they went around. Of course, back then,
yeah. This is back when they would actually attend theaters,
right, for the grand opening.
for the openings of the film, as opposed to just the one premiere in Hollywood and then it goes out.
Right. And usually they did different types of premieres for wherever they were. So, of course, like the big ones like New York and LA always got pretty, over the top, I should
Right.
say. So, yeah.
Creature also lands right into that entire canon of the Universal Monster series,
Right.
along with, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, all of those.
Right.
I'm actually curious as to know why maybe Hammer didn't get into that one. I mean, they did their own Draculas. They did
Right.
some wolf ones.
There's just some stuff he hasn't touched yet. But, I mean, the Creature has been featured in several different movies offsetting, like just walk-on roles. And he's never really mentioned as the Creature. It's usually the Merman.
Right. Or Gillman.
Or Gillman.
Yeah, it wasn't one that just took off and spun off into, we didn't have Bride of Creature of the Black Lagoon or any of those. I mean, it had a couple of sequels, I think. But
Revenge of the Creature, and then there was one called The Gillman.
yeah.
Yeah. It made some inspiration. Like, there's some inspiration in stories that carried on, though. I mean,
Right.
Swamp Thing always felt a little inspired by
The
it, in my
Creature.
opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But there was, like I said, numerous walk-on roles in which there was actually, feature films, but you just saw him in the background.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, did they even use him in... I just drew a blank. The one with the kids, Wolfman's Got Nards.
they actually
Squad?
did use
Yeah.
him in Monster Squad, but a different version of him.
Right.
If you compare it, there's several different variations of the Creature.
And then there's a gender-swapped Joan Rivers version of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
That's true, yeah.
there is.
That is true. Is it available anywhere right now?
Usually you can get it on Amazon. You can.
Yeah, you can rent it on
Yeah,
Amazon.
it's pretty much universal.
Yeah. Amazon has it for rent for like $3.99.
Yeah.
So
It's good for there's nothing on to watch, and
yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember when I was in high school, and that was a long time ago. They had the 3D version they were going to be doing on TV.
actually it was shot in 3D.
Yeah. It said it was originally shot in 3D, but they were airing it on 3D on regular TV.
Right.
And the only way you could get the glasses was to go to 7-Eleven and buy a
Right.
big gulp,
And-
and then they
yes.
would give you the set of glasses to
Yes.
take home and watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually there was numerous different cameras that were being used to film it underwater. But the gentleman who did the underwater scenes, so a lot of my effects people will know who Ben Chapman is. Browning was actually in several different movies. And he was phenomenal for doing underwater because he had really good lungs.
Yeah, it's saying here that he could hold his breath for up to 4 minutes.
Yep. Which back then was the record.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they have competitions for diving. But Ben Chapman's been in a lot of different movies as well.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I was going to say, you have it up there. Look at Ben Chapman. He's on the script.
I do have it. I do have this up here. Yes. I was just interested.
His discography is amazing.
Yeah. But I was just looking through some of the trivia of it, and Forrest J. Ackerman, which is a horror and science fiction writer for Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine.
Yes.
He bought the mask and the claws for the costume. So,
And as far as I know, still has them.
yeah. It says he bought them from a young man that once used them as a Halloween costume. Mm-hmm. It's like,
Didn't even know what he had.
dude, you're wearing legendary stuff right now for Halloween. That's awesome.
Right.
And you said who? What?
Ben Chapman.
Ben Chapman. Does he have a
Yes.
rat?
No, but he's synonymous in the industry.
Synonymous. Okay. I know I saw his name here a minute ago. Where did I see it?
It should be under cast.
Richard Carlson, Julie Adams, Richard Denning, Antonio Marina, Nestor Paiva, Whit Bissell, Bernie Gozer, Henry Escalante. I don't see Ben Chapman.
There he is.
Where? Oh, he's way down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to know things he's been in? Is that
Well,
what
the
you're asking?
audience might like to know
Oh, okay.
why he's so synonymous.
Why are you so synonymous, Mr. Ben Chapman?
That's an incomplete sentence.
He only actually has 8 credits as acting.
And they are?
So, Pagan Love Story, he was a dancer. Ma and Pa Kettle in Waikiki. Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Colgate
Okay.
Comedy Hour. You keep those teeth clean while you're laughing. My Little Margie, Jungle Moon Men, and Adventures in Paradise TV series. That's his acting credits. So yeah,
It's the Ma and Pa Kettle one.
gotta love Ma and Pa Kettle in Waikiki.
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Lost track of how many times I see that on the AFI reel.
Do you? Yeah. Ma and Pa Kettle. Jeez. Get your ass back home. We're in a virus situation here. You can't be in no Waikiki. So yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon. If you have time after your 30 some odd Godzilla movies and in Dagon, check that out. Came out in 1954, so a year before. Came out a year before Godzilla.
Well, actually, same year, I think. Same year.
Was it the same year?
Same year.
Okay, same year. So the Japanese are making a giant lizard, and America's making one that
Okay.
captures women. So
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Paul, have you ever seen it?
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. That and Bride of Frankenstein. So I guess I like the sentimental Universal monster movies.
Oh, yeah. A man after my heart. Is this where I go that it happens to everybody all the time?
It does happen, everybody. So yeah, check that out. We're moving into number 2 for Paul.
All right, Paul.
We had some H.P. Lovecraft. Where are we going now?
Well, get ready, audience, to go through the exact same thing that Chris just put you through.
God.
Okay.
Because we're going to move from an aquatic semi-romance tale to another aquatic semi-romance tale.
And that is...
This is The Lure, a Polish movie from 2015.
Wow.
And you can rent it on Prime, or if you happen to be into the artsy-fartsy movies like I am, you can sign up for the Criterion channel and get it for free in their streaming package.
Okay.
Well, $10.99 a month, but it's good. It's a good selection.
Okay.
So The Lure is a sort of take on The Little Mermaid that is a romance, comedy, musical horror film.
Wait, you said musical.
I sure did.
Oh, boy.
So, with it being a musical, whenever I explain the plot, you'll see why it's a musical. So the movie begins with 2 mermaid sisters that are kind of just waiting nearby where 3 band members are playing near a bonfire.
Okay.
One of them kind of gets captivated by the guy that's singing closest to the shore, and they end up trying to call out to them with a siren call. Immediately captivated by them, they bring the mermaids back to where they work, which is a cabaret.
Oh.
Yes. I will go ahead and say it's very I am new to this movie. I just watched it today.
Does she love Tell Meets Burlesque?
I will admit that it is very uncomfortable in the beginning because it's just straight up like them only wearing jackets and the cabaret owner's like, the cabaret owner is like going to their green room where the band is like set up, and they've got the two girls. He's like, "This is an adult establishment that sells drinks." He's like, "No, there's something special. You got to see this, boss." And he like sends two of the band members out, and then the other band member says, "Okay, take off your clothes." And like, you just said they looked underage. What's going on here? So
alrighty then.
They sit down on the couch, and the band member gets a glass of water from the sink, pours it on their legs, and these huge fish tails come out. And and if you look at the trivia on IMDb, these fish tails that they use in the effects are
6 foot long.
6 foot long.
Weight
and
over
how
50
many
pounds. 50 pounds. Over 50 pounds.
Yes, they look that heavy.
That's a mess of fishtails.
They are.
That's a lot of
especially considering
sushi.
the actresses are tiny.
Yeah.
So what are they made out of? Do we know?
I don't know.
I
Doesn't
do
say.
Probably
not know,
silicone.
but they have some intricacies to them. Like you can tell there's some individually pieced scales and stuff on them.
Silicone.
Yeah. But so it starts playing with, if you start watching it and you saw that it's based on Little Mermaid, you see that they're taking massive liberties for about half the movie.
Yeah.
And then it really starts, and it also doesn't feel like a horror movie for about 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden they casually drop that one sister is telling it's a blonde and a brunette, and the brunette sister, Golden, tells her sister Silver that she shouldn't fall in love with the human. And she's like, I'm not going to. And he's like, could you eat him? And then you get into the fact that they are man-eating fish people.
Oh.
Well, there's a catch in every relationship.
Yes. It really throws a wrench into things. But if you know the original tale of Hans Christian Andersen, like the non-Disney version,
Yeah.
it's a tragic romance.
Wait.
Yeah, falls in love with the human.
Turns into
and
sea foam.
Turns into sea foam. That's exactly right. So they treat it like a curse, like a almost Universal monster movie curse in this, that if she falls in love with this human, like gives her heart over to him, she will turn into sea foam. And the only way to counter it is to devour the flesh of the man that she fell in love with.
Ah.
Wait. All of him or just a little piece? I mean, are we talking, can we just like chop off a leg and call it today? Or, it's got to be an arm? I mean,
it's fairy tale horror. They're not very specific.
Of course, they never are.
But movies got style in spades. I will admit there's quite a bit of nudity, but taking place in a cabaret. The music's pretty solid though, because it's not a musical. There's a couple of scenes where they sing, like actual musical style, like they're singing about their feelings and stuff like that. But for the most part, all the musical numbers are actually like club acts with like very stylish set pieces and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, because based on looking at some of the images of it, it looks like it's musical because it's like a club and they sing and
yes,
stuff
absolutely.
like that, as opposed to a Disney musical kind of thing.
Yes, and it's very power pop, like Euro power pop. So if you happen to be into Goldfrapp or the music they played in like the Charmed soundtrack,
Okay.
it's very much like that.
Ah, okay. I like the fact that it came out on Christmas Day. Yeah.
It's actually a really solid movie. Tonally, if somebody really likes The Hunger, like the David Bowie, Catherine Deneuve film from the 80s,
Right.
or maybe Spring, that movie that came out a few years ago, which I also recommend and is free on IMDb TV and Tubi TV,
Right.
where a guy falls in love with a chimera. It's pretty much along those lines. Very experimental, kind of sentimental, but good. Just it's like 90 minutes it really just kind of zooms along.
So it didn't have a whole lot of slow parts where you're just like, come on, get on with it.
Absolutely not. Doesn't have time for that.
All right, cool. From Poland. So it is English dub then?
But no, it is English subtitles.
Ah, okay.
I guess I should say that's another caveat. But
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm probably gonna pick up some of the songs on the soundtrack afterwards.
Cool. I want to hear them. All right. For those that are our avid listeners, you already know that Paul is more of an avid foreign horror film fanatic than an American horror film. But you just joining, you now know that. I just told you.
Well, for anybody that would know the movie, I nearly thought about talking about Marabito for this, but it's not streaming anywhere that I
Right.
could see, and it also would be very uncomfortable to talk about that plot.
Okay. Well, hence why I always ask Paul if it's English dub, because I don't do subtitles well.
That fair question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So following up with my last one, The Relic from 1997.
Oh. That is actually based on one of my favorite book series.
Yeah.
Yes, the Pendergast books
Oh, okay.
by why can't I think of those authors' names?
I don't know. Ka-choo.
Douglas Preston and I cannot think of the other author's name. I'm gonna slap my hand.
Slap your hand.
Anyways, I believe The Relic is the first or second book in the Aloysius Pendergast supernatural FBI novels. He's
Okay.
not as quirky in that movie as he is in the books.
Yeah. The storyline for this one is a researcher at Chicago's Natural History Museum sends 2 crates from South America containing his findings. When the crates arrive at the museum, there appears to be very little inside. However, police discover gruesome murders on the cargo ship that supposedly brought the crates, and a murder soon takes place at the museum. And while investigating the murder, the lieutenant enlists the help of the doctor that works there, and she's a researcher. She's a evolutionary biologist.
What's her character name again?
Her character name is Dr. Margot Green, played by Penelope Ann Miller.
From Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah. She takes an interest in the contents of the crates, and unknown to both, there's a large creature roaming around the museum, gearing itself up for a benefit reception, which the city's mayor is to attend.
Wait, the creature is gearing itself up for the benefit?
Yes, it's got its tux on and everything. It's
is it like getting its hair done and pedicure and everything?
Yeah, you gotta have that pedicure. God. I find that it's really interesting because it's really kind of a movie between science and superstition, because they talk about that a lot. Like the police officer is very superstitious, don't walk over the dead body, it's bad luck, or which way is that penny facing, don't pick it up if its head's up.
Is that Pendergast in the movie?
Pendergast.
Is that the character name?
No, it's Lieutenant Vincent DaCosta.
DaCosta, okay, yeah.
Yeah, played by Tom Sizemore.
Yes. He's part of the book series.
Is he?
Okay. Yeah.
But in the underlying of it, I think is also more about greed versus science as well, because she's got someone she works in the museum with that is seemingly trying to always downplay everything and take away all her grants. So I think there's a little bit of that in there, and it shows how he's always trying to one up her to get any grant money that she's after. So I think there's a little bit of that in there. Just underneath the whole science versus superstition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good theme.
I like it because it's got a lot of history into it. Because they do talk a lot about like it opens up in Brazil with a tribe doing a ritual, which then leads to the stuff being sent to the museum. And then they talk a lot about the displays and the superstitions and a lot of different other, and some of it could be made up, but they talk about different tribes in different areas of the world and some of the rituals that they perform and stuff like that, and the scientific ideas behind them. And that's what really intrigues me about the film. And then the final discovery of the creation of the creature is very, very interesting.
I remember liking it back whenever it first came to video, but I think I was 13 or 14 at the time it came out. That was whenever I got a liver disease.
Oh.
And I was bedbound and constantly getting sick. So there's a handful of things, Cherry Kool-Aid, that movie, a PlayStation game called Alundra that I was playing at the time, that all just immediately make me feel like queasy, back to the way I was.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I do concede it's a good movie, but I tried watching it and you get a nasty taste in your mouth. I don't know. Memory things are weird.
And for your information, Chris, the works on this film were done by Stone Winston. They actually had 3 different creatures with 2 people moving the heads and people on the side working with the electronics to make the arms move and the claws and the mouth and so on.
I do remember the creature being cool.
Very cool, yeah. Paramount evidently had some issues finding a museum that would let them shoot there because the way the novel portrayed the museum's administration. So Paramount offered the museum a 7-figure sum of money to film there. Yeah. The administration was worried that the monster movie would scare kids away from museums. Quite opposite, though, really, because kids are like, there's monsters in a museum? Hell yeah, I'm going. As a matter of fact, they got 2 kids in the movie that are going to the museum to see the monsters. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It does say that the character, the Agasta, is actually a melding of 2 of the characters from the book, which is the Agasta and Pendergrass kind of rolled into one character.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying, because I was like, I don't even remember Pendergrass being in the movie.
Right. Yeah, I was really torn.
Which is a shame, because the best way I could describe Pendergast books, it's like take an X-Files plot and put a landed Southern gentleman who's all the way into supernatural stuff and science.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, very quirky character.
That does sound kind of quirky, yeah. Huh.
Good books.
Yeah. This was Penelope's first horror film. She was drawn to the director Peter Hyams to have a strong female lead. Tom Sizemore was attracted to the film because he got to play the male lead. Says had the responsibility of pushing the narrative forward. I guess it was his first time to actually land something other than a supporting role.
Supporting roles and jerks. Basically, is what his career is.
Right. And I realized after rewatching it again that I was like, oh yeah, he usually plays kind of an ass.
Yeah. I always think of him in Natural Born Killers whenever I think of him first.
Yeah. They were actually looking at Harrison Ford to play the Agasta role, that evidently went to Sizemore. Yeah. So, and just to let y'all know, if you're really interested, the creature is called the Kuthaga. And evidently only had about 4 minutes of screen time, so. But yeah.
Really?
That's what it says.
Huh.
It says it was originally set to open in August of 96, but the special effects work delayed it until sometime in 97. So, it was Audra Lindley's last feature film, which I believe, who was that? The administrator was is pretty well known as well. I think that's Linda Hunt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Every time I see her now, I always think of Edna Mole and Guess, which I think they actually based the look off of that character from her. Yeah. So, yeah. So, there you go. Lots of creatures. Yep. I was really torn between this one and Mimic, because I really like Mimic as well.
Mimic is semi-frustrating if you know what Del Toro wanted the movie to be originally.
This is true. If you've ever delved into anything Del Toro had to say about the film, there was a whole lot left out that he wanted in there.
Yeah. The director's cut's not even possible. Like,
No.
There's a director's cut, but it's sort of haphazard because they weren't able to film everything he wanted to film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if he'd had a director's cut, it'd have been more like The Stand or something, 8 hours long. So, all right. You now have your homework for your isolation. Creature features. We've given you about 40.
Get scared of things with fangs and claws versus viruses.
Yes. And plants.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have the plants in there. So, yeah, that's what... you said how many Godzillas? 32, 33?
32 movies.
32?
Plus 3 American movies.
So 35 total if you count all the American films.
Well, if you're adding in the 2 creature from the Black Lagoon movie she's recommending, so
Yeah.
Chris recommends 35 movies.
Yeah.
I kind of recommended 3. You kind of recommended 3.
Right. So you got your work cut out for you this week.
Yeah.
But definitely, check them out. Come check us out on social media. Tell us your thoughts on some of them. If you have a favorite creature feature of your own, let us know. You can find us. Our links for our social media are also at fearcentral.net. They're all right there at the top. And you can choose your favorite one, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whichever. But definitely check those out. And I just lost my train of thought, Paul.
Stay scared.
Oh, yeah, we could go that route too. All right, so y'all be safe out there. Don't be spreading around anything that nobody else wants, and stay home unless you absolutely need to get something. Stay safe, and as always, stay scared.
Fear Central is a product of Thoughtbox Studios. For more information, visit thoughtboxstudios.com.